Thank you for tuning in. So I'm just reviewing the debate between Matt Dillahunty and Trey Jadlow. Is Christianity true? This is on Modern Day Debate. Went out on what? I think the 28th, 29th of July 2023. I'll provide a link in the description below. So I'm not going to play any clips. Like I did on a previous occasion. If you want to see the debate, if you want to sit through, you'll see obviously Matt getting angry on many occasions. There's a lot of name calling. On many occasions, Matt called, well, actually, to be honest with you, they called each other names. It went two ways. Of course, Trey did not get angry. Matt got angry many times. But Trey did call Matt quite a few names. He said to him, "Oh, you're so angry, he said this, and he accused him of straw manning, being evasive, etc. Matt, for his part, accused Trey of being a liar, a jackass, all sorts of stuff. And they somehow, in between all of this, managed to agree that actually they're both kind of like each other, which I don't believe for a minute. We've heard this before. We've heard it with when he's been debating Muslims, and he's called them apologists for a religion that condones rape of a child, with Muhammad and Aisha, and then he's turned around and says, "Oh well, yeah, but we're good friends, really, aren't we?" No, you're not good friends with anybody, any of these people, Matt. You obviously despise them with a passion. But let's just get on to the debate. So Trey went first. He made his opening statement, and listening to it, I was disappointed in the way that he tackled it, because he's trying to prove that Christianity is true. And okay, he did say that. I suppose there are two parts to this. One is, I mean, you can't just go straight for it in a way. I suppose you've got to first prove there's a God, and then you've got to prove that there's a Christian God. So he did say he's going to do this. First, he's going to establish that there is a God, and then he's going to say why it's a Christian God, which is fair enough. But why then did he start talking so much about the presuppositionalist approach, which he said he wasn't going to use, and which he said was an absolutely appalling apologetics, and he thought it was embarrassing, which I found hilarious, because the way that he eventually presented his argument from contingent existence, from contingency, the way that he presented it was barely better. And I mean, in terms of begging the question and circularity. And Matt did actually say during the debate, he doesn't debate presuppositionalists. There's no point. It's futile to debate somebody who's presupposing what they're trying to prove. I can see that. What's the point in having a debate if you're already going to presuppose what you're arguing for? It doesn't make any sense. And Matt did say, but Trey, what you're doing isn't quite that, it's sort of that, and it's a little bit better than that. But I still think, personally, when somebody comes on to a debate and says they're going to use analytic philosophy to prove the existence of God, I just think, oh no, why can't you just give us some evidence? Because I don't believe that an argument is evidence. You could present an argument and back it up with, you could support it with evidence, but to present a philosophical argument alone, an analytical argument to prove the existence of a divine being, if such an argument were successful, if it was valid and sound, this is something that would have been solved, and there would be a consensus among philosophers that God exists, and that just isn't the case. But nevertheless, he did present, eventually he did get around to it. And I'll just briefly sum up. In fact, he summed up quite well, I mean, really, he could have just summed it up like this at the start. There was no point in, jumping through all the hoops and doing all the intellectual acrobatics in order to get to where he wanted to go, because at the Q&A, and this was in fact after Matt left, because Matt had to get off, so they finished part of the Q&A, but there was 10 minutes left on the slot for the modern day debates, so Trey stayed behind. And I think that he did something that was really bad, just before I get onto this, because the host of modern day debates said, once Matt had gone, okay, well, Trey, you're still here, you can talk, but we've got a rule that you can't talk about your debate opponents once they've left. You have to stay on topic and talk about your case, but you can't make comments about them because they're gone, they're not here to defend themselves. And I was really surprised when Trey started saying, looking back on the debate, saying, I knew that when Matt came that he was going to do this, he was going to do that, there was going to be a lot of name calling, there was going to be a lot of obfuscation, I think he said, there was going to be a lot of dodging and evasiveness and a lot of dishonesty. So he was accusing Matt of all these things, and Matt wasn't even there to defend himself. And I think that I'm surprised that the host of Modern Day Debates didn't actually reprimand him for that, because he shouldn't really have done that. So what happened? So in the Q&A, somebody actually asked him, oddly enough, because they probably were not satisfied with what he had said in terms of proving his case, attempting to prove his case. Is Christianity true, and if so, why? And all he said was, actually, I've written down what he said. He said this: there must be a God in order for there to be contingent existence, and this God must be the Christian God, because it's revealed to us through the Bible in such a way that it's evidently true. The Bible, human existence has got with it a number of problems, ills, and Christ provides the remedy. And through divine revelation and Christ, Christianity is more or less sufficient in a way that no other religion is. So coming back, so that was in a nutshell, really. He could have started off with that instead of the long spiel that he did at the beginning. He could have really just summed up his argument there. But this thing about this argument that he was asserting a lot about the Bible during the debate. For example, on the question of miracles, I think Matt asked him, do you believe in the miracles that are featured in the New Testament? And he said, well, yes, I do, because they're self-evidently true. And Matt said, well, you're just asserting that. You haven't provided any evidence for it. And he referred to a scholar. Unfortunately, I didn't write down the scholar's name, but he said that the research had been done, and that a very well-known scholar had researched the Bible, and his conclusion, this scholar's conclusion, was that the Bible was the most, what did he put it? It was considered the most accurate document in antiquity. For that reason, Trey was using that as evidence to support the miracle claims, that because this scholar said that it's the most accurate document in antiquity, therefore we can trust the claims of the miracles. They must be true. Now, to be fair, Matt did point this out. You're not presenting evidence. All you're saying is you believe it because somebody else said it must be true, which isn't evidence at all, of course. That shows such a poverty of reasoning, in my opinion. Of course, it's not just an opinion in a vacuum, because you could just simply cite any scholar who supports your view and claim that that's evidence without actually going and trying to find real evidence. For example, some documentary evidence for the miracles outside of the Bible, while not satisfactory and in my opinion would not prove the miracles, actually would be better as evidence than another scholar claiming that the Bible is the most accurate document in antiquity. So there you are. That was the level of reasoning of Trey Jadlow. Let me just have a quick look and see what else. They spent some time. He went for a Socratic method with Matt, and they spent some time asking Matt, are you an illusion? So Matt had got to answer this. And I think Matt's response was, he doesn't know whether or not he is an illusion. So he took the position of ignorance on the question. And Trey's response to that was, so you're claiming that you're not an illusion? And then Matt had to say, no, don't strawman me. I didn't say that, etc. I said, I don't know whether or not I am an illusion. And Trey seemed to take this position that I've heard Darth Dawkins take, actually, that if you can't take a sort of neutral position on a sort of question, on a sort of existential question like that, you could not take a neutral position. That if you tried to take the neutral position, it must be you must be denying it. Which is why when you say to Darth Dawkins, I don't believe in God, he will say, well, no, that means you're saying that there is no God. So yeah, so they got bogged down in that for some time, and that's when Matt started saying that he's being dishonest. He insulted him a bit, called him a jackass, and said that well, I don't want to go into that. If you want to go and listen to what Matt said, I've actually written down timestamps here, but I'm not going to give them. What else have we got? That's about it, really. There was just one more thing that Matt did. He asked Trey why it was important for Mary to be a virgin. And Trey more or less said that it was important for Mary to be a virgin because she was clean and free from sin, and that Jesus had got to be born of a woman that was clear and free from sin. Of course, Matt pointed out she would still have the original sin, but... And then Matt went down another road and said, well, God creates his own rules, doesn't he? And he could have created a rule whereby Mary need not have been a virgin and could still have given birth to a Jesus, and he still could have done his job, right? And then they spent 10 minutes on that, and I think eventually Trey said, yeah, sure, yeah. God can do anything, therefore, yes, he could have done that as well. Well, as I said, Matt disappeared at some point, and then they had the Q&A, and there's nothing really more for me to say. I've spent too long on this as it is. I apologize. Trey did not convince me that Christianity is true, and he also did not convince me with his argument from contingency that there is a God. Matt got bogged down in too many sort of irrelevant rabbit holes in order to really focus on presenting a really strong case why, in his opinion, why Christianity is not true. And let's face it, there are plenty of reasons. Yeah, just one last thing. Yeah, because Matt said, well, okay, why isn't Islam? Why can't Islam be the religion? Okay, if I grant you that God exists, why can't Islam be valid? How do you know that Allah is not the true God? And Trey's answer to that was, because according to the Quran, Allah in some way depends on his creation. I'm not too sure about that. I'm not too sure about his reference for that. So yeah, he said that Allah depends on his creation, and so he can't be perfect and whole in the same way that the Christian God is, because the Christian God is does not depend on his creation. Although I've asked Christians, why did God create us? And Christians have told me, because he needs our love. And that would suggest to me that neither is the Christian God whole. If the Christian God was whole and complete, he wouldn't need to be loved, and in fact, he wouldn't need anything. He wouldn't need to be worshipped. So Matt could have pointed that out. He didn't. I don't know why. But just to add to that, I know that Muslims say the Christian God couldn't be real because the Trinity is just such a ridiculous concept. A Trinitarian God makes no sense. Only a Unitarian God makes any sense, if it could make any sense. Okay, that's it for now. I'd be really interested if you watch the debates. I'd be curious to know what your comments are. There's no point asking you, do you think Trey proved that Christianity is true? Because all of you who are atheists out there, and I mean, even if there are any Christians out there, I'd kind of be surprised if you would think that Trey really presented a good case for the truth of Christianity. Okay, that's all for now. Thank you very much for watching. Bye.